Welcome to Inside the Audition, the podcast where we go behind the scenes for a deep dive look into the world of auditions. I'm Joe Lars Larson, creator of Actors Audition Club, an international community helping actors book your dream roles in TV, film, and theater.
And I'm Brandon Knox, actor, producer, and co-host. Each episode, we chat with actors and industry professionals to share their audition experiences, insights, and advice.
We provide actors with actionable tips, strategies, and resources to help you elevate your auditions.
We demystify the often intimidating and misunderstood world of auditions to help you succeed.
So whether you're just starting out on your acting journey or you're a seasoned pro, join our Actors Audition Club members as we go Inside the Audition. Hello.
Hello.
Here we are for the 141st time.
We made it.
And what is that? That's 122 of those in a row.
Something like that. Yeah.
122 weeks in a row. Quite a streak. Quite a podcast streak.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, everyone. Those of you watching live on Facebook right now, we got a great episode. We're going to take a deep dive into actor headshots. So make sure to share this out on Facebook. Make sure to share it out on YouTube. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform in the future right now, then smash that subscribe button. Do it. Do it.
Yeah, you've already delayed enough. Smash that subscribe button now.
Smash the subscribe button. Now, before we get into it, before we bring our guest on to talk about actor headshots, it's going to be a great episode. But Brandon Knox, BK Broiler, the Fort Knox here, got some fantastic news. We can't reveal all of it due to NDAs and industry secrets and secrecy. But we shot a couple auditions the other day, and
I just booked a principal role in a TV show that I will be shooting in a couple weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's a very well-known show up here. Actually, why don't you let both cats out of the bag here? I know the one is like, you never want to jinx it, but I think the other one's a done deal too. He actually did 2 auditions the other day, and he's fully got the offer on one. He's got the avail check and the all the signs of a booking coming through the other one. So you got 2 for.
I'm very close to a twofer. I'm very hopeful that it will. The second one will come through.
Right.
But it seems like I impressed a couple people in the production team for the second one that I'm on hold for.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
Hopefully next week we'll have even more good news.
2 for 2. Yeah. Yes. And I think one quick note, we won't get into it too much, but I think a big reason why you'll be considered for those is you've played the positive. You found some fun stuff in both of them. And they were scripts where maybe there was like negative, as Tom always tells us, the negative is always written, and our job to find the love and find the positive and find the funny, while staying in the world of the scene and the character and serving the purpose of the script. And I think you did a great job on both of those.
Thank you.
And you were well prepared, and we didn't overthink them. Like we worked them, we worked on them, and we found some moments, but then it was like, yep, that's good. Like we didn't agonize over it, or we weren't being perfectionists and being like, oh, everything's got to be perfect. You delivered what you wanted to do and submitted it, and it was a great job. So 2 for. Yeah. So watch for Brandon on 2 new TV shows in the future, and we can't reveal the name of them quite yet.
No.
We don't want to jinx it. All right. So today's episode, we've been doing some series on business and marketing. We've been introducing you to my business coach and mindset coach, James Wedmore, and a lot of his trainings, gearing up to the launch of his 3-part training experience, Rise of the Digital CEO. That's coming up June 1st. So to continue in that vein, we're going to do something a little different. We're usually talking to actors and casting professionals, but we are going to talk today to headshot photographer, one of the best. He's beloved here in Toronto. So I think let's just bring him into the studio. Please welcome a big Inside the Audition welcome to Youssef Abdelmalek from YMA Photo. Welcome, Youssef. Listen to those people. Where are they? Outside the studio? Where
they're yelling for you, Youssef.
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too. I'm really happy to be here, and congratulations on the 2 secretive roles. So fingers crossed for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, we want to talk about headshots because every actor knows, or every professional actor knows, it's a imperative, critical part of your marketing and your audition materials. Casting directors and agents want to see solid headshots. They often maybe want to see a resume and a demo reel, but headshots, I would say, are the #1 tool. So today we want to take a deep dive into the importance of headshots, how to make sure you get a great session, how to make sure you get great results. We'll maybe talk a little bit about the don'ts, like how to ruin your headshots if you want to do it the bad way. And we're going to get a deep dive into that because it's your first impression. It's your calling card. It's the first thing that a casting director sees. It needs to pop, needs to stand out. And we can talk about the need for a variety of shots for different roles, different types, different looks. So we'll get into that with Youssef today. Thank you for joining us, Youssef. But first, Youssef, the first part of this podcast is always a little something called the 1-minute life story. Brandon here is going to throw up a 60-second timer, and you're going to have 1 minute to tell us all about Youssef Abdelmalek's life story. You ready for this?
Yes, I am.
All right, call it in, Brandon.
Youssef Abdelmalek's 1-minute life story, and go.
Awesome. So I've been born and raised in Egypt. For as long as I could remember, I've always been attracted to electronics. Anything that had computers, cameras, anything that had electricity running into it was very interesting to me. I was more interested in that than I was in humans in general. I've always wanted to run businesses with things that I'm a gadget person. And so when I landed in Canada, I saw Best Buy. I'm like, whoa, that's insane. That stuff is on display. Back home, we don't have cameras and laptops on display like that. And so I would actually go to Best Buy and remove the camera from the thing, and it would be like attached to a chain. And I would take pictures of my friends with it attached to the chain, and the salespeople would just look at us. Yeah. And then I realized that there is something called the depth of field. And so the depth of field essentially would create, would isolate the subject using depth of field. And that was the turning point. So I ended up getting a camera, and from there, I just never looked back.
There you go. Boom, boom, boom.
That was Youssef Abdelmalek's 1-minute life story, everyone. I love that. That's I mean, there's something to say for people who are resourceful. Sometimes people say, I don't have this, I don't have that, but you walk into a Best Buy and you grab the camera on the chain.
Bro, I learned the entire manual mode on a Best Buy display T2i, and they hated me. Once I walked into that store, because I would have a YouTube on a tablet that teaches me how to use manual mode, and I would do it on Best Buy's camera. They hated me.
Amazing. I love that. Good for you. So tell us, how did you professionally get started into headshots? How did that come about? Was that here? Was that at home?
That was in Canada, so none of it was actually in Egypt. I did create some content in Egypt. You could call it vlog before Casey Neistat made it a cool thing. And it was a 3.2 megapixel camera. Is that alarm for me?
No.
Okay. So I did create some content back home, but it wasn't anywhere near professional grade. When I worked in Canada as an engineering intern, because that's what my degree is in, I worked in Windsor, and we were told it's sketchy. You need to be home by 5, 6 p.m. And so I believed that. So I was left home from like 5 p.m. to like 10 p.m. midnight, losing my mind. I had nothing to do. So I actually would set up the camera, take pictures of myself, and learn how to light shape. And so all of my roommates thought I was insane because I'm taking photos of myself every single day. But then at some point, I met someone in Windsor, and I took pictures of her. Turns out she is the niece of the CEO of the company I was an engineering intern in. And so he shows up at my desk and he's like, those photos you took of that girl were great. I'm like, how do you know her? He's like, we're related. So he hires me to do photos for that company. And it just happened that way. And then in 2015, I consciously understood and realized that I have a strong desire to work with actors. And so I ended up having a consultation with Wendy Elaine Wright, who I was just talking to you about, Lars, before we went live. And she helped me brand and launch my entire business. And from there, I've made wonderful relationships with a lot of people in the industry.
Amazing. Yeah, and I will say this. We actually haven't shot together, but we've got a ton of mutual friends. Lots of my friends have been your clients. And I know that you're well liked, loved, respected in the community here.
Thank you.
And then one of the things that I've always noticed about you, especially online, like we've met at some networking things over the years and different workshops. But you see people online often more than you see them in person. And one of the things that I've always loved about you is you're so positive, and your posts are always loving and inclusive. There's like, in a world where there's a lot of garbage on social media and a lot of vitriol and divisiveness and nastiness, you're one of the people that always keeps it positive and loving, and is building a community rather than tearing other people down. So thank you for that, and shout out to you for that.
Thank you.
It doesn't go unnoticed. Yeah.
Thank you. Life is too short to not bring others, to a good place.
Yeah. And shout out, especially, I know she has a shout in your heart, or a special place in your heart. Gloria Mann. I always see your interactions with Gloria Mann on.
She's my second mother. So.
Right. And Gloria, for those of you who don't know, Gloria is a longtime casting director here in Toronto. Her son is also a casting director as
Stephen
well.
Mann, yes.
Stephen Mann, Marla Mann, her daughter is an agent as well. So shout out to the Mann family. All right, so tell us. Let's get into this. I don't know where you want to start, but what we want to flush out is how can actors ensure that they're getting a great session and a great result from their headshot. So I don't know if you want to start with your process in consultation, but let's just treat this as Youssef's Headshot 101 class for actors.
Right.
And stick around to the end. Make sure to stick around, everyone, because Youssef's got a special offer for our listeners that we'll unveil at the end of the episode. But let's talk Headshots 101.
Yeah, for sure. So there are a few things that actors need to consciously understand. And the biggest and most important one is that you can't treat your headshot like it's homework. Usually the way it happens is this. You're not booking, you're not getting auditions, sorry, not booking, you're not getting auditions. And so you're questioning what's wrong, your agent is questioning what's wrong. And so you decide, okay, let's update headshots. And it comes from a place of, I need to do this again. And honestly, people say it like that to my face. And I'm like, could you be a little bit happier about the fact that you're going to be in front of the camera? So the first and most important thing is to actually have the desire to be photographed and to know that you're beautiful and that you're worthy of being photographed. And that whatever didn't work in the past is not you. It's just that whatever rendition or whatever representation of you that you've captured in the past that didn't work. It's not you. It's not your person. So don't treat it like it's homework, that it's something that needs to be done. It is homework, and it is something that you need to have done. But if you treat it in a way that's like, I am so excited, I get to work with a headshot photographer today, then things are going to be different. And I would say my clients are maybe split 50-50. My actors are 50%. Yeah, I'm so excited. Let's shoot. Let's do it. And the other 50% are like, okay, let's do this. So that would be the biggest thing. The second most important thing is understand that you're a person, you're a human, and your reaction to the camera is very different when it's a still photograph than it is when you're on a movie set. When you're on a movie set, there are 24 frames per second. We can hear your voice, we can see your body movements. Your reaction to that is going to be different than when it's 1/8,000th of a second and it's click and we freeze your face that moment. That will make you feel different than it will when you're on a movie set. And so getting to know your photographer and being able to communicate with them in a way that's vulnerable and honest is very important. That's why I would say 9 out of 10 people I work with, we do a Zoom consultation. And the 1 out of 10, I usually regret working with them. And Zoom consultations are very important for a simple reason. When we're friends, like I've known you guys for quite a while now, when we're Facebook friends, whatever. So if we were to shoot all of a sudden, it's okay. But if I don't know anything about you and you don't know anything about me, and the first time you hear my voice and you get a sense for my energy is right before I point that camera in your face, that's a recipe for disaster, because to you, I am a complete stranger who holds a tremendous amount of power over you, because it is powerful to photograph someone. It's very powerful. So when you do that Zoom thing, you get to know me a little bit and I get to know you a little bit. I get to gauge your sense of humor. How am I going to make you comfortable? How am I going to make you laugh? And so when we shoot a week and a half, 2 weeks later after the Zoom consultation, you've got 2 weeks thinking, okay, I've made a new friend. And when you walk into the space, then you're not walking into the space with a complete stranger. You know something about me and I know something about you. So that's very important. Number three, I would say in the 101 headshot, like you can't mess this up, is you have to understand what you need to capture. What is the intention? You have to know how are you going to be marketed, and so you have to have that conversation with your acting teacher, with your agent, with if you have that luxury to have that conversation with casting, do it. Because if, let's say, I tend to be more on the happy kind of bubbly side, you're not going to cross the street the other side at 2 a.m. to avoid me. I'm not scary, right? So if I throw on a leather jacket and I try to be like, I will never be able to do that. I can't pull that off. I am a happy dude. I am peaceful. I can't play like someone who's going to stab someone. You have to figure that out. Because if, let's say, I was an actor and I wanted to play villain roles and I don't have it in me, I'm more like a funny guy, I'm going to have a miserable time. Even if you could pull it off in your headshot session, you're not going to be able to pull it off in an audition. And if you were able to pull it off in an audition, you're not going to be able to pull it off long enough on set. At some point, you will be exposed. So you have to understand how you're going to market yourself and tailor your headshot session to that. So if you're like a young dad, that's what we do. If you want to do some corporate stuff, that's what we do. If you want to do some villain, or like you're like a superhero or a secret agent, Russians sent you to make the Pentagon collapse, then yeah, sure. But once we understand those things, then we structure your session to tailor and cater to those things. If we don't know that, then we end up with a bunch of pretty pictures that might be good for your Tinder profile, but it probably won't further your acting career as much as you would like it to. That would be it. It's a long answer, but that would be it.
Oh, that's great. And I love I think what it comes down to is having a plan and having intentions. Why am I getting these pictures? Which wardrobe, which look, if there's any different hairstyling or anything happening in between shoots. Because I do think and I've done this in the past where it was like, oh, I'll just go find my favorite outfits that I like to look in, and oh, there's the red thing, there's the blue thing, and there's the suit, or there's the collared thing with a tie, and not matching every look to, okay, what types of roles is this look for? What types of roles is this look for? And you find your whatever, maybe it's 3 to 5. And I think that should also be married to actually what is shooting in your market, the shows so take stock with your agent, with casting, with the manager, with yourself, with your photo, with your headshot director of this is the roles that I'm typically put out to. These are all the things that are casting in the area. So then where are the gaps as well? You want a commercial shot, you want the more dramatic shot, you want like something that could qualify as period piece potentially without being too over the top. Maybe something that's more like post-apocalyptic, rough around the edges, jean jacket, something in black, like shows like Walking Dead or those kind of shows, like something more gritty. Like find all those different nuanced looks that
Exactly. Yeah.
these are the different looks that then, because then your agent can custom submit instead of just your generic smiley commercial photograph being submitted for something that's dark or gritty. You've got these custom submissions, and then casting can really see if you're known as the friendly, bubbly guy, and that's the picture that people are submitting of you. Casting might not have the imagination to picture you in a gritty or darker role, but if you've got a great shot that matches that and matches that essence, then boom, you're off to the races, and they don't have to imagine you. What about things like, do you do shoots with people where they're clean shave, or where they got a beard and then they shave? Oh, did we lose him? There he is.
No, I'm here.
What about like different looks, hairstyling, those kind of things? How do you deal with that on set?
That's a great question. So usually what I tell people is, as long as you show up to your audition looking similar to what you do in your headshot, then you're fine. So if you want to do a couple of looks that are clean shaven, well, first with stubble and then clean shaven, because you can't really grow facial hair in 10 minutes, then go for it. But just don't confuse what you've applied with and what you look like. So if you're applying for something with a bit of a beard and a facial hair, show up like that. Ideally, I think it's better to not have any extreme look changes, because you can't really get ready for an audition with an extreme look change. And I see that especially happen with makeup and hair. A lot of times I will be asked to, I sometimes partner up with makeup and hair artists, and we will be asked to do something that's over the top. And I always ask, are you going to be able to replicate that in the 4 or 5 hours before your audition? Because if we're taking 4 or 5 hours to do your makeup and hair in a headshot session, do you really have that luxury to pay that person $250, $300 before every audition? Because if you're not going to look like that, they're not going to be happy about it. So I, generally speaking, I don't advise people to have any extreme look changes, but I have had people shave on set or change their hairstyle a bit on set. So like maybe, let's say, sometimes hair would be on both shoulders, and in some shots we would have it in a ponytail or like a bun or something like that. That's common and it's actually called for. But I would not call that extreme style change. It's a bit of a change, but it's not extreme.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point with hair and makeup too, because a lot of times if people aren't being intentional about what is the reason I'm taking this picture, it's not to get a glamorous picture that it's going to be on the front of Cosmopolitan magazine. It's to take a picture of you that casting is going to see when you do submit a self-tape, or when you walk into the room, you got to look like that. And I think that is a common mistake where people glam themselves up. They get these brand new curls and they've got an amazing blowout and perfect makeup, but they are never going to be able to replicate that on their own without hiring a hair and makeup person. So what's the point of having that picture? Just to be like, oh, well, this isn't the person in your, this is you, like you, which is
it's never a pleasant surprise. It is never a pleasant surprise.
Right. What else can we talk about? Can we talk? Let's maybe frame it this way: on the day you're out on a shoot with your actor, tell me, like, who's your dream client? Who's the like, to get the best results, to have a great session? Who's the dream client? And then let's flip to, if an actor wanted to sabotage their entire session and do everything the worst way they could possibly do it, who is that nightmare client on the day? Let's talk about both of those people.
I guess you're trying to put me out of business.
So
no, I'm not that dumb. So dream client, I've been fortunate to have quite a few of those, actually. The common thing between them is that they reach out, they say, okay, let's book a consultation. I say, I love the sound of that. Let's do that. In the consultation, they're prepared. I tell them what my process looks like, and they listen, and they actively listen. They're not just nodding their heads. And they ask me questions about my process and see if there are things they want to do differently, because not everybody will like how I do things, and I'm very open to hearing if there's something you want to do differently. And then they will tell me some of their own desires in their headshot session, where things that they're looking to capture, and I will listen to that. And usually we will come up with an idea of 5 to 6 looks during their session that we would like to accomplish. And then once we have that dialed in, then we ask ourselves, okay, what outfits are we going to wear to uh, get those looks? So once we do that, they send me pictures of their wardrobe if they feel the need to get my guidance. Some people feel that they're okay picking their own wardrobe. Some people need a second opinion, and they need someone to validate, yeah, okay, cool, that looks good. And then once I get that, I will email them with feedback saying, okay, this is enough to cover what we've agreed on, or no, let's shop a little bit more for these, and let's omit the following outfits from your wardrobe selection. Once that's done, then they show up, and usually, if they are conscious enough, then they get their beauty sleep, go to bed early, pack up before the shoot. Please pack up 12 hours before the shoot. I don't want you to pack up 4 or 5 hours before the shoot and you're afraid of TTC and the delays and all that stuff. And you end up showing up and you're like, oh, I don't have that top. Oh my God, I was looking forward for that top. And being in that situation where there was something you were dying to shoot and you don't have it, it's gonna change your mood for the entire shoot. Even if everything else looks really cool, but because in your brain you were really really excited about shooting with a certain shirt or a wardrobe piece, and you don't have it, it's gonna show up on your face for the entire session. I promise you. So pack up earlier. Make sure that you make a list, write it down, make sure you put everything in the back, make sure you pack up your hair and makeup stuff, because you don't want to show up to the session after being in the TTC for a while and there is fuzzy hair and flyaways all over the place. And you're like, oops, I don't have my hairspray. Luckily, I'm over prepared and I do have hairspray, but sometimes that can will be empty. So have yours. Bring a lint roller if you have pets and there is hair all over your blazers, your clothing. Prepare well. That's the dream client. And once we lock in a plan, please don't change it. I've had people show up and we've had a plan, everything is going well, and they would say, "Oh, sorry, I brought my sister with me. She's gonna do braids. That's gonna take 45 minutes." And I'm like, maybe I should know that beforehand.
Right.
Yeah.
Because for me to have 45 minutes of downtime, that's a problem. So once there's a plan, stick to it. If you have something you want to do during your session, tell me upfront. Even if you think I'm going to say no, it's more likely that I'm going to say yes if you ask than it is for me to say yes if you put me in a situation where I have no option. I probably will say no. So just prepare upfront, prepare beforehand, and follow the plan. That would be the best case scenario. And I've been lucky enough to say more than half of the people that I shoot are in that boat. But then 45% of them are not, which is still pretty significant.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's an important investment for an actor's career to get those great headshots that really pop, something that their agent and casting is going to appeal to their agent and casting. So to waste that opportunity by not preparing, right. Or you mentioned like if you like I'm sure the classic one is someone books a Sunday session with you and then they decided to go out and party like a maniac on a Saturday, so they're underslept, they're puffy, they're red eyes, yeah. All of those things. Or they go to the beach on the Saturday and great, you got a sunglass tan and a sunburn on headshot day. Like those things you definitely don't want to be doing. You talked about wardrobe. Are there any specific wardrobe do's and don'ts, things to avoid, things to lean into? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let's talk about things to avoid first, so that my life is easier. Things that deform your body. So like, let's say turtleneck. If you wear a turtleneck, I can't really see where your neck starts and ends. I can't tell how thick your neck is. It just distorts. I can't tell what your body looks like. So turtlenecks for me are something that I don't like to shoot. Other photographers will shoot them and like them. This is a personal taste. And a lot of what's coming is personal taste. But I would say a lot of it is kind of built on we know what works and what doesn't work. So even though it's my personal taste, I think you're a lot safer wearing a V-neck than you are wearing a turtleneck, for example. Um, Generally speaking, I don't like hoodies, for example, because what they'll do is you'll have a thing coming up from like these like the back of your neck that we don't understand what is that, and it's virtually impossible to have a hoodie and for it to not look sloppy in a shot. You don't want to wear anything that makes people look at the shot and feel like you haven't really paid attention to what you're doing. So if it looks like it's not well prepared, don't wear it. So turtlenecks and I would say hoodies are my biggest nightmares. Other than that, things that have significant patterns on them or logos. So like there are shirts that are overtaken from like the chest to the belly button with the big logo. That's probably not a good idea. Some people will show up with stuff like that and it will be like one of their major looks and I'll have to Photoshop that logo out. I'm not going to say that I hate those people, but I can't say I love them either. Uh, like every brush stroke with the clone stamp trying to remove that logo, I love you a little bit less. So patterns, things that cameras read in a linear way. So if you wear something that has a zebra pattern on it or like a checkerboard pattern, what happens is it creates something, it creates an effect that basically screws with the brain of the camera. And so it's called the moire effect. It is a lot more pronounced on moving pictures. So on actual movies and film and TV, then you'll see it and you'll feel dizzy actually if you look at it. But on still photographs, it still looks very distracting. So avoid things that are incredibly busy, like flowery tops that are extremely flowery. I would say that's probably not a good idea. With wardrobe and makeup and hair and the whole shebang, really what you're looking for there are things that are there to package you, but the actual product is your face, is your
Right.
head. So what can you produce in terms of emotion? They're not casting your taste in your wardrobe. They're not casting your taste in earrings or jewelry or whatever that is. They're casting your ability to produce a certain emotion that they need in their show. And so anything that
Right.
distracts from that kind of works against you.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. It's not a fashion show. It's this is me as this character, this is me as that character. So yeah, anything too distracting or over the top is just not going to work, right? What else? So you're saying that this pizza hoodie here is not a good choice for my headshots.
No.
Yeah, I think the other category is things that you're comfortable in. If there's a certain look that is not really you and not what you wear, and you're trying to squeeze yourself into something that isn't really you, then it's gonna read as uncomfortable on
Yes,
camera, I would imagine.
exactly.
So things that you feel good in, and you mentioned things that complement you and your face. You're right. This is the main event. Your face, your eyes, especially.
Yes.
So don't get distracted by giant hoop earrings or sequin patterns or a big flashy
Exactly.
logo. Like none of that
Exactly.
matters. And they have a wardrobe department. So really, they're casting your head and your eyes mainly in TV and film, at least, and then they'll dress up the meat suit with whatever
Right.
clothes the wardrobe department has for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What else can we talk about? Brandon, do you have any questions for Youssef?
Yes. A lot of times actors, especially, get stuck in their heads, or they get filled with a lot of self-doubt. Is there anything that you do to make sure that the actor gets out of their head and like quiets that self-doubt so that way they're able to get the best shots possible?
That's actually a beautiful question. Um, yes, it's very easy to get self-conscious, and especially in this industry because the whole thing revolves around you as a person. Like if you're a car salesperson and you're doing dismally, your numbers are garbage, you don't go home thinking you're worthless. But in this business, you might be tempted to think that your self-worth is attached to your ability to book stuff or to do well in a headshot session. And same goes for me, honestly. When I have a month where I'm not doing as well as other months, my self-confidence does take a hit. And so what you need to do is you need to detach from that, and you need to understand that you're not that person at this specific snippet of time. You're a person over a very long period of time. There were versions of Youssef that are dead, and there will be versions of me that will come in the future, and we're not all the same person. We're changing. And so you have to understand that whatever it is that you're feeling, first of all, people don't feel about you the same way you feel about yourself. Some people are going to love you, some people are going to hate you. But that's a good thing, because there are people out there that will love you as is, even though you don't really love yourself. So what I tell actors is, when they feel self-conscious, I bring them, make them look into my eyes. There is something I genuinely hate about my eyes. None of them can tell me what it is. I have a lazy eye, and I can switch which one is a lazy eye. And I show them that, and I tell them, could you ever think that I had a lazy eye? Did you ever like notice it? And they're like, no, not at all. I'm like, that's exactly how other people feel about the things that are making you self-conscious. So if you think your nose is big and you look in the mirror and you're like, wow, my nose is humongous, people don't look at you and feel that way. People look at you and they see the human in you. They see how you talk. They see how you act. They see how you laugh, how they see you, a person, a complete person. They don't see you the same way you see yourself. That's the first thing that I do with them. The second thing I do with actors when they get self-conscious is I don't show them the pictures until they're good enough. Some photographers will have a screen that's facing the actor, and every shot, click, and they go like, and they check the picture. No, no. I choose when you see the picture, because if at the beginning of the session you're not doing really well and you look at that, then everything's going to go downhill and you're going to get into your own head even more so. And it's going to be impossible for me to bring you out of that. So what I do is I shoot for maybe 10, 15 minutes until I feel like, okay, this is a good shot. They're going to be happy with that. And I show them that. And when they look at it and they're like, wow, that's not so bad. And then they start to feel like, okay, I could actually do good. This can turn out really nice. And so from there, it becomes an upward trajectory, and they do better, and they do even better. And when they do better and I get so excited, I'm very loud and obnoxious behind the camera. And so that energy rubs off on them. And so they do even better. I show them that and they're like, wow, that's even better than the previous shot. And it just keeps going up until there is a climax. There is a point in the session where it's like, okay, they're not going to do any better than that. And their energy starts to go down. That's usually 45 minutes to an hour after we started shooting. And so I tell people most of the time, the 5 to 7 shots that you're going to pick to use are going to be about 50 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes after the start of the session. And everything before that kind of gets thrown in the garbage.
I love that.
Yeah, that was a great question, Brandon. Great answer too. When you mention I think you used the term they're doing well, or they're doing better. What is that like for performance? Because I know a lot of actors love being on set, they love being on stage, but then they do tense up, or just something about them is awkward, and myself included. I've been in shoots where I'm like, do I even know how to stand or look? Like, is it thoughts? Is it intentions? Is it something physical with your eyes? Like, what performance-wise on camera, what should an actor be thinking, doing to get those magic shots?
I think they shouldn't be thinking. That's how I prefer it. So one example of that is their arm position, for example. When people are thinking about their arms, they're going to do this, and they're going to put their arms around their waist or their bum. And I call that the feel my bum pose. And so when I notice that they're moving their arms in a way that is conscious, they understand what they're doing with their arms, I tell them, okay, no. You're going to do this with your arms. And I coach them on what they do with their arms. But if they're not moving their arms in a way that I feel is making them feel self-conscious, and they're just going with the flow and they're there, I leave them be there. I don't tell them anything, because I don't want to draw attention to the fact that your arms could make you look better or worse, or heavier or lighter, right? Because your arms can make a big difference. So if they're doing well, I don't tend to mess with them. If it works, don't touch it. I tend to only step in and coach people on how to pose if they aren't doing well. And so sometimes when it comes to smiling and comfort, that really comes from me, because if I am bubbly and happy and jumpy, that rubs off on them. Some people, I would say 5%, they don't like it when the photographer is too happy. They're like, okay, I'm already like don't be like that. And if that's the case, I'll tone my energy down. But 95% of the people, my energy really rubs off on them. And so instead of me telling them smile, because if you tell someone smile when you're photographing them, you're going to get this. We don't want that. This is not what we're looking for. We're looking for a genuine, natural smile. And so you have to do things that, as a photographer, you have to do things that will make them smile without asking them. I call it the S word. If you're out there and you're a photographer, never ask people to smile. It never works. So energy-wise, I control my own energy. That rubs off on them, and in turn controls their own energy. In terms of body positioning, if they're doing well on their own, I leave them be. If they're not, then I use my own body to coach them. I tell them, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to turn that shoulder that way. And I use my own body, and I use my own face and neck. If I want somebody like the neck posture and the shoulders, I don't like what they're looking like, I'm going to be like, okay, use your neck, push your forehead outside. And I'm going to push my own forehead outside. I usually suffer pain because I use my body a lot. So I would say the most important thing is to actually not think actively about things. The more things you think about actively, the more you're going to panic. And so if it's happening naturally, just let it happen naturally. Don't mess with it. If it's not happening naturally, I hope you're working with a photographer who can help you fix things.
Interesting.
So,
yeah. And for me, in my sessions that I've had, is a lot of it is trusting, like choose your photography, choose the photographer well, do that consultation, get some chemistry and some comfort level, and then trust that they're professionals. Because I've been in several, and I think everyone can attest to this, there's some angles with your neck and shoulders and things that you're doing where you're like, this is the most unnatural. I've never been in this position naturally. And then it looks amazing. And these little
on camera, exactly.
These little subtle, like something to bring out your jawline or whatever it may be. But if you don't trust your photographer, you've just paid this person an investment in your career, and then you're just not going to listen to them and do your own thing. That doesn't make any sense either. So it's releasing some of the control and just trust. I've hired a professional. It kind of reminds me of commercial shoots. Sometimes a company will hire a commercial production company and hire a director to shoot it, and then the client will sit in the back and nitpick every little thing. Well, why did you hire a director to direct your commercial if you were just going to question them on everything and not trust that they're the professional? So I think a lot of it is trusting that you've done way more photo shoots than any individual actor has. You know what gets results, you know what good shots are, and just releasing some of that control and just trusting that, hey, if I listen to this pro, his job is to bring out the best in me, and then I can relax, and we're going to get great stuff.
Yeah. But to add to that, there is a fine line between being a control freak and backseat driving, and also being incredibly passive. You don't want to show up and just be there and be kind of dead, like that's what he told me to do and I did it.
True.
You don't want that either. You want to be in a place where it's like you can ask for things, and you can ask me for anything. I always tell actors, don't approach me from a place of fear. A lot of actors are afraid of people in the industry. They're afraid of agents, casting. There is a lot of fear in this industry, and I don't love that. So I tell people, you can ask me for things. And if you're asking for something that I think is absolutely ridiculous, I'm going to tell you that in a polite way, obviously. But I'm going to give you the advice, the professional advice that you paid me for. So there is a fine line between backseat driving and between being completely passive. That's also toxic, because what could happen is you could be completely passive in a headshot session. That will be easier for me for sure in the short term. But in the long term, you're going to have a conversation with someone else. And I wish I did that in my photo shoot. And they'll ask, why did you not do it? Was the photographer intimidating? And instantly, I'm the bad guy, even though you didn't even bring it up.
Right. So it's collaboration. I mean, ultimately, they are your shots. It's your career. So it's being in charge and being in charge of your own results. I mean, same way on set. Like it's your performance. Obviously, there is a director, there's a DOP, and there's makeup and wardrobe and sound and all the other departments. But your performance is your performance. So at the end of the day, you got to take charge in that and take ownership in that, I suppose. Yeah, you're right. The flip side, to just sit back and then and then a week later when you send them all the shots, they're like, oh, I don't like any of these, and
it's actually an hour later in my case.
Oh, there you go. He's even better.
Nice.
Hear that, everyone? An hour later.
Wow.
That's how
So
quick you are?
I shoot tethered, and I'm really lazy. I don't like to do work that I don't need to do. So what I do is I tether my camera to a computer so that I don't have to import after the session. After the session, everything is already imported. So it's just an email to fire up.
Oh, nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Brandon? I think we've covered a lot here. We've gone
I
Yeah.
actually
a
have
deep
one
dive.
thing. Sorry,
Oh, yeah.
Brandon. I do have one thing that I would like to mention, and it's about retouching. There are actually two things. The first is I know that sometimes it's difficult to choose, and that you could be faced with like I don't know 250, 300 images depending on your photographer, and it's difficult to narrow it down to 3. But if you take 6 months, what happens in my case is that I allocate time. So if I'm shooting, let's say Lars, then I know I'm going to shoot you on a Monday. I'm going to allocate 4 or 5 hours for your retouching for the following weeks, and I'll book that time for maybe 2-3 weeks. And if you take 6 months, then what ends up happening is I'm shooting other people, and all of a sudden you're surprising me with that email that's like, hey, let's get those retouched. And I'm like, whoa, that was from 2019.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a good idea if you're getting photos done to go through them and get them retouched within reason. I'm not saying do it within 24 hours when you get them. I'm saying do it within a month, 2 months, 3 months, but not years.
Right.
And I've had people reach out to me in 2023 about shots done in 2019.
Right.
The other thing that I want to mention about retouching is that you have to understand that we can't put a different person there. So it's gonna look like you. Retouching is there to enhance your look, but not to change who you are.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, great point.
The term "smiling with your eyes" is thrown around a lot with headshots in general for actors.
Yes.
Is there any tips or ways to get that smile behind the eyes that you've experienced?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So sometimes people do it naturally on their own, and if they are, I don't tell them because it's happening. And some other times people, they have their eyes wide open like that, and you can see a lot of white underneath the eyes. That really communicates I'm not interested, I don't want to be here. So that's why we tell them to smile with their eyes, or some people call it smizing, some people call it squinching. The idea of it is when you're trying to focus and engage, you end up using your lower eyelids to engage. You end up like tensing up those muscles. When you're trying to read something that's far, you end up tensing those muscles. When you're trying to listen to someone, you end up tensing those muscles. And I would like everybody to notice that in other people's interactions with them. When there is a moment that they decide they're listening to you actively, look at their lower eyelids. They will engage and they will tense up a little bit. But to be clear, we're not squinting. People sometimes can take it too far, and it's like that. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying we're going to throw in a little bit of engagement in your lower eyelids, because that communicates I'm interested, I'm here. It communicates a bit of intensity, a little bit of, I would say, it gives it a bit more oomph. You're not just there. You're not a deer in the headlights. You're just a little bit, engaged.
Love that. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it. Tell us, Youssef, what are your future plans and aspirations? What's your dream career, dream project? What's next? What's on the go?
I'm not that deep, man. I think I'm living part of what I dreamt of, and it's a really good feeling to feel. And on some days where I feel ungrateful, I remind myself of the days where I was just, did somebody even pay me $400 to do their actor headshots? At some point, that seemed insane to me, and it's happening every day now.
Right.
But for the future, I think I would like to explore more types of photography that are still with people, but are still commercial in nature. So I'm not really interested in exploring anything that has to do with like family photos, weddings, stuff like that. I actually worked as a lighting guide for a wedding photography company. They really liked how I lit my images, and so they would have me on set to teach their photographers how to light. And I don't see myself doing anything that has to do with weddings or family and stuff like that. But I see myself doing more with like lifestyle portraiture, let's say print work if I'm lucky enough to be able to get there at some point and build a portfolio for it. So things that are more commercial in nature. I would poke myself in the eye before I end up doing anything that has to do with weddings. I think people at the height of their worst character when they're about to get married.
You hear that, Bradzillas? Speaking directly to you.
Yep.
Love that. Love your
Yep.
answer. I mean, you're
Thanks.
largely living your dream, so that's a great answer.
Thanks, man.
Now, how for all of our listeners currently or in future, what's the best way for them to contact you? How do they work with you? And you mentioned that you had a special offer for our listeners too, so we can let everyone know about that.
Yes, for sure. So the best and easiest way to work with me is to go to the website, which is www.ymaphoto.com. That's yellow money apple, and then the word photo.com. And fill the contact form. You're going to get an email automatically with a lot of frequently asked questions. And you're going to get 3 links into that email. One link basically helps you schedule a consultation. The second one has a PDF that's about 12 pages that is more like a magazine style Q&A about headshots. A lot of it is covered in this podcast, but if you want to read it again, then you can go ahead and read it. And the third link basically allows you to book a headshot session bypassing a consultation, and you do have to agree to some terms and conditions. If you do bypass the consultation, I highly recommend you don't bypass the consultation. It is in your favor to get into a Zoom room with me and make sure that you're prepared for your headshot session. In terms of the bonus for all the folks that are watching this stream, so you can use a code. Lars, come up with the code and
We'll
let
do
them know.
AAC, code AAC.
So we'll do AAC +2. So in the comments in the contact us form, use code AAC +2, and you will get 2 additional retouched images on top of any package you book. So if you book something that has 3 retouched images built in, then you'll get 5 for the same price of 3. So you get basically 2 retouched images for free. So that's basically an additional value of $150 on your package because of AAC.
Amazing. And the website again, say it one more time.
It's ymaphoto.com, ymaphoto.com.
Great. I'm just going to throw it in the comments here. So all listeners, once again, you can book headshots with Youssef at www.ymaphoto.com, and you can use promo code AAC +2 for 2 free touch-ups in whatever package you've chosen. Amazing.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for making that offer to people. We'll share that out in the link in comments when we post it. I'll do an email blast to all of our clients too, letting them know about this as well. Any final thoughts, Youssef, Brandon?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody that on some days I just feel like I'm loved and I question why. But then I tell myself people don't have a reason to love you. They just do that. As much as I love other people and I don't really have a reason to love them, you know. So love is a thing that it's not logical. You don't need a reason to love someone. You just fall in love with people, and I feel so blessed that that I'm as loved as I am. And I just want to give a shout out to a few people in the industry. I wouldn't be where I am unless I had them in my life. And like you said in the beginning of the podcast, Gloria Mann would be the star of that list. She is my second mother, and she's the only person that can wake me up before 10 a.m. on Sunday because I am not a morning person, but this is how much I love her. So my biological mother always tells me she competes with God. You don't even go to church, but you will wake up at 10 a.m. to speak to Gloria. So it's a bit blasphemous, but I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for her help and support and guidance. Same goes for Marla Mann. They are family. Some people call me the 4th man. I'm honored to be the 4th man, and I genuinely appreciate everybody that I've made contact with in this industry and I've became friends with. I think this is what makes this a very emotionally rewarding career. It's not necessarily the business side of things, it's the relationship side of things. Like everybody knows, it's a very small circle. We all know each other, and so be kind to other people and love them without reason. And so I try to love people without reason, and I appreciate that I'm loved without reason. And on any day anybody feels not worthy of love, I just want you to know that there is somebody out there that actually really loves you, and that I hope they reach out to you and tell you that.
I love that. Loving the love with Youssef
Ah.
here. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Well, thanks so much for hopping on, Youssef. Again, reminder everyone, you can use that code AAC +2 at ymaphoto.com. And Youssef's going to give you 2 free touch-up in addition to your regular package. So make sure to book with him. 'Tis the season. The weather's getting nice out there, and summer productions are going to be ramping up here in Toronto. So make sure to go see Youssef, and he'll take great care of you. All right. Thanks, buddy. We'll
Thanks,
see you
man.
soon.
Thank you.
I know you're a big
Yeah.
sushi lover, so one of these days we'll have to grab sushi. And for the actors, if you want to bribe Youssef out there, bring him some sushi on the day.
I'm very weak when it comes to sushi. That's true.
All right. Love you, buddy. Thanks for
Awesome.
hopping on.
Love you
We'll
too,
talk
brother.
soon.
Thank you so much, guys.
See you
All right.
guys.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Amazing. Great
Oh my
episode. Thank you, Youssef. Yeah, once more, flash that code up on there, Brandon.
Mhm.
So once again, you grab headshots with Youssef, go to ymaphoto.com, and promo code AAC +2 is going to get you those 2 free touch-ups on top of your package that you've chosen with him. Great episode. We also, in continuing our talk about business here, there's a huge event coming up. James Wedmore is running what a lot of people call the best free training in the industry when it comes to online business, online marketing, digital businesses. It's called The Rise of the Digital CEO. Brandon, do you have that link to drop in the comments? So
Yes, I do.
I'll be sending some emails out. So this is a lot of people sometimes you're like, well, why does this apply to me? Well, if you're an actor, you're a comedian, you're an independent contractor, you're a freelancer, you are the CEO of your own business, which means if you're not acting like a CEO, your business doesn't have a CEO. And no business is going to do too well if a CEO role isn't being filled. So this free training is incredible. A lot of people will say that his 3 training sessions are more valuable than anything that they've ever paid for, including trainings and workshops that are thousands and thousands of dollars. So highly recommended. I joined James's formal program, Business by Design, back in June 2021. But one of the great things is you're a lifetime member. So every year I return to this Rise of the Digital CEO training, and it allows me to go through all aspects of my acting business, my comedy business, Laughing Vikings, Actors Audition Club, and I'll go through all phases and pieces of that with James. And every year he makes this training incredible. It's super inspirational and motivational, but also very tactical. You'll come away from those 3 days with ideas and knowledge and things that you can immediately put in place in your own careers, whether you're an actor or a comedian. Or maybe you're someone who's neither of those and you just want to start a side hustle. It's also a great opportunity to get some fantastic coaching. So go to that 3-part training experience. It's Rise of the Digital CEO. We'll put the link in the comments, in the episode comments, and we'll put them in the comments of the live feed here as well. I know that's a big, long, fat link right there. So you can cut and paste that, or you go to our link in bio. That's a great spot for it. If you go to Actors Audition Club on Facebook or on Instagram, you'll see our link in bio, and there's that actual button that you can register. It's free, 3 parts, and it's incredible. You'll love it. I'll be there too. We might even do from the studio here. I might block off some time and just have the live broadcast here. So if anyone wants to join us here in studio and have a nice little group digital CEO training, we can do that as well. But that starts June 1st is the first part of that. So make sure that you get registered before June 1st. It's going to be incredible. So can't wait for it. It's going to be awesome. Also, we should let people know, reminder that Comedy Alley's opening is this Saturday, May 27th. We got Stephanie Neal, Bob Rubin, Jeremy Dobsky, and myself. That's 8 p.m. You go to laughingvikings.com/Comedy Alley, grab tickets. They're going to go like hotcakes. So join us for the opening. There's going to be shows every Friday and Saturday after that. And reminder that Bracebridge Hall. We're coming for you. Myself and Bob Rubin. We're going to be there this Friday, May 26th, 8 p.m. You can grab tickets at bbhall.ca. Bob Rubin, legendary stand-up comedian, is going to be in Bracebridge headlining the show. I'll be there, of course, opening and hosting the show. But grab tickets at bbhall.ca. We got a big weekend coming up here, a comedy. So thank you for tuning in. This has been episode 141. I think Brandon and I are going to hit the old hoop court and shoot a little b-ball here. And then I've got a session here at the studio with Actors Audition Club member Adam Langton's going to be popping in. So shout out to Adam Langton. We'll see you in a few hours. But thank you for tuning in. Share this out. Make sure you subscribe. Hit up Youssef for those headshots. And we'll see you in Comedy Alley or at Bracebridge Hall soon.
Bye. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.